Pedro Lima looks set to move to Wrexham this summer on loan. Now this is a really interesting deal for numerous reasons. So in this video we're going to speak about what I think it means for Wolves, what I think it means for Wrexham, and why I think it's such a crazy deal. So let's get straight into this one. Now, as you can see, Liam Keane confirmed last night that Wolves are looking to get Lima consistent minutes next season. Now, that is extremely interesting for numerous reasons. Mainly because of the club that he's linked to. Now, Wrexham, obviously it's a very exciting prospect as a club. A very aspirational club as well. Made some big signings so far as well. Danny Ward, not particularly great keeper, but, someone who's played in the Premier League for a number of years. Connor Cody, obviously, massive links to Wolves. And just generally one of the best leaders you will find, if not the best leader in the Championship going into it. And generally a really, really smart signing for around £2 million. But this deal does feel very strange to me for numerous reasons that I will get into now. Now, for anyone who didn't watch Wrexham in League One last season, essentially they played a similar system to Vitor Pereira. They played that back five with very attacking wing backs. Now, this is where I think the deal gets very confusing, in my personal opinion. Now, Pedro Lima is obviously a quality wing back. He definitely is, hence why Wolves signed him, hence why Man City and other large clubs were in for him at the time when he was at Recife. However, it's just a really, really weird deal for Pedro Lima for me, in my personal opinion. The reason I do say that is because last season Ryan Barnett was one of Wrexham's most consistent players. He played 40 out of 46 games in the league, 45 games in all competitions, and he was their top assister from that right wing back slot, and generally was so consistent throughout the season. He had one minor injury throughout the whole season, but other than that, he was absolutely flawless when he did play. And I also think it's really interesting with regards to Ryan Barnett is the fact that, again, his contract doesn't expire until 2027, and so there'll be no rush to move him on. And actually, I do think he's one of those players in League One that can make the step up to the Championship quite comfortably, especially in the position that he's in. And also the fact that Wrexham have got that good relationship on both the left with James McLean and on the right with Ryan Barnett. I think they're all in tune on both of those flanks. And personally, if I was a Wrexham fan, I wouldn't really want that changing going into the Championship. Obviously, Pedro Lima is a really talented footballer. And I know it sounds really mad, Wolves fans, that I'm saying that he's not better than Ryan Barnett. Now, that's not the case. But I'm saying in terms of for Wrexham as a club, I don't think he's better than Ryan Barnett for the way they want to play. And also, I think Ryan Barnett's qualities do outshine Lima for the way that, again, Wrexham want to play and how effective he is in their build-up and in their offensive and defensive phases of play. Now, it feels like at Wolverhampton Wanderers, in my personal opinion, almost all of the squad divides opinion, really. There's so many players in and around that squad that fans have conflicting opinions about, and Pedro Lima definitely is one of them. For me, it makes complete sense for Wolves to go in and try and sign that right wing back and keep Kiana Herver's development growing throughout the season, because I do think Kiana Herver is the more sensible and more Premier League ready choice of the two of these players. Now, obviously, that might seem unfair on Pedro Lima, given the fact that he played 6 times for Wolves so far in his career, and he only made about 230 odd minutes in that time. So again, it does seem very harsh, and he is obviously going to get better. I mean, he's playing in the under-20 sort of tournaments for Brazil comfortably. He's massively touted by clubs and massively wanted by clubs prior to Wolves buying him. And he's obviously got a lot of very, very exciting attributes. He's extremely fast. He's very, very good on the ball. And he's actually is shooting, and sort of in that final third, he's really, really decisive as well and wants to get in on the action. He reminds me a bit of Jeremy Frimpong in a few ways, really. But obviously less, of a level, of course, but also less refined as well and very raw still, which is why I think that alone does suit Pedro Lima. Now, where do I think Pedro Lima should go? I think in terms of his profile, because he is so sort of unknown, really. Obviously, he's one player that we haven't seen too much in our leagues. We saw him in Brazil a hell of a lot on highlight reels and looking at his heat maps and in-depth stats. But in terms of that, you can't really grasp too much from him, having not watched that much of him in England. Now, we know that he's very technical and he likes to get in on the act and also, bomb forward and utilise his pace as well. Now, for me, I think he'd really suit a side that have either just been relegated from La Liga or perhaps a team back in Brazil maybe, but I do think he'd suit a side like perhaps Real Valladolid. Now, I know they lost Luis Perez Masqueda last season. He's now a free agent, their current right back. There was their current right back. And I do think he would be really good there because they're a team that have ultimately been relegated from La Liga. They've got a technical side, And I'm sure they're going to look to play expansive football to try and ultimately walk the league and go back up to La Liga again. So I do think he'd be a really interesting sort of fit for them. I also think, in terms of when you look at the squads as well, I think you've also got to consider Almeria. Now, obviously, that's a club that Pubie was at, and he was the right back for them. And obviously, newly promoted to La Liga as well. I do think he would work in that side. Again, quite a high risk for a side that, of course, are going to be in and around fighting relegation, you would like to think, this season. But I do think it'd be a really smart move as well for him to go there. So generally, that's my take on the situation, really, and teams that I think he should look at. Now, as I say, Pedro Lima is a player that massively divides opinion. So, please get in the comments what you think about the Wrexham move, where you think he also could go aside from Wrexham, because I think it's really interesting. Also, comment below in general, let me know what you thought about the video so I can maybe improve or just sort of give me, positive feedback as well. I'd appreciate that, of course. Everyone likes to hear that. And I would really appreciate it if you're not already, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also share it across socials. I'll leave my Twitter and my TikTok below as well if you want to reach out to me on there and sort of share the videos on there. I'll be happy to interact with you on those platforms as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.